Hello everybody and welcome to the second installment of Nat's Book Club, the series where I, Nat, read a book and talk about it to an audience of myself. Today we will be discussing Full Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. This one is something that was actually suggested by a friend of mine, so shout out to you. You know who you are. If you see me looking down here a lot, it's because I have my laptop here. See? I'm reading all my notes, looking at the little script that I've come up with, so don't mind that. Like last time, I will be splitting things up into sections. The beginning will all be spoiler-free in case anybody who watches decides at some point that they would like to read the book as well. And at this point here is when the spoilers will begin. I'll be sure to give another reminder of spoilers once that part actually begins. And these are all going to be the sections here. Section 1, the premise in my own words. Aspith Honorary is a holder's daughter. What is a holder? A rich guy who's like the lord of the land, but also owns these rare things called artifacts. Objects that hold magic from the olden days before the magic wielders, aka the Mancers, were all slaughtered in this really big war. These artifacts are the only vestige of magic, at least that's what everyone is told. Anyway, Aspith's father is a gambling addict, and he has gambled away most of their money and all of their artifacts, or at least all of the useful artifacts. So what does Aspith do? She sets out to get some artifacts of her own. With her maid Gwenna by her side, she goes to the Royal Artifactual Guild, the place where all the artifacts are dug up. Unfortunately, there's a lot of high fantasy sexism, and neither Aspith nor Gwenna can search for artifacts without a chaperone. A man chaperone. Enter Hawk, the big, sexy Minotaur love interest. See, he has this rut coming up, and he really doesn't want to leave the city because he's like super poor. Everyone's super poor when they work for the Royal Artifactual Guild, I guess, and he would like to continue working. So Hawk and Aspith make a pact. They get married. He has a rut buddy and she has a chaperone for her adventures. Everyone's happy. Oh, and one more thing, Hawk also has no clue that Aspith's a holder's daughter. He has no clue of her status whatsoever, and being a holder's daughter is like basically being nobility. Section 2, initial thoughts. I was actually super excited to read this. I'm not the biggest fan of marriage of convenience tropes, but I don't see too many monster romances browsing through the bookstore, especially one with as beautiful of a cover as this one had. When I started reading it, I was heavily confused to find out that Aspith was supposed to be somewhere between plus-sized and mid-sized. I don't think anyone told the cover artist or the inside cover artist about that fact. The beginning drew me in and had me wanting to read more. And there is a content warning part of this video. I also do want to mention that the book itself, right at the very beginning, has its own separate content warning, but I'm gonna discuss a little bit of it myself. I didn't expect there to be so much sexism in this book. I should have, considering in the synopsis of the book, it literally says that Aspith has to have a male chaperone in order to train at the guild, but I guess that didn't really properly prepare me for just how intense it is. It's not so intense that you gotta put the book down, but it's intense that I definitely went, oh yeah, this is a fantasy novel that's supposed to take place in a completely different era. The sexism is something that is mentioned in the official content warning of the book. Another thing to note, there isn't actually any sexual assault in this book, but it's definitely mentioned. There's also a definite dubious consent, dubcon aspect to the book. There is technically consent between the two characters before anything happens, but there's mind-altering things happening to one of them, meaning the lines a little uncomfortably blurred. This is something that was not mentioned in the book's official content warning section. Section 3, recommendations. Would I recommend this book? Kinda. If you're not used to your smut being written in more graphic language, this will definitely be a bit jarring for you. This feels far less trashy than other Ruby Dixon books. Like, there's a more cohesive plot and world surrounding the book. So if you like a compelling plot mixed in with your smut, this is a good book for you. If you enjoyed Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians, this has a very different vibe than that series. That's not to say you'll hate it. It's just different. If you like the dynamic of the innocent and smart girl falls in love with the grumpy but soft, big, tough guy, you'll definitely enjoy this. If you enjoy romances where the protagonist is intentionally plain so that you can imagine yourself as her, like Twilight or the Vampire Diaries TV show, that's not gonna exactly be for you. Almost every character has a strong and distinctive personality. They're all characterized pretty well. Finally, like with any Ruby Dixon book, if you're not used to monster romances, or at least not open to the idea of them, this isn't the book for you. Unlike Ice Planet Barbarians, I don't think this will necessarily be underwhelming for you if you do enjoy that genre, but I do think you'll just be whelmed. If you want to get introduced to monster romances or smut, I would actually recommend this book. I think this is a decent gateway, especially if you're already used to trashy smut novels. I cannot begin to express how long it's taken me to record section 4, because every time I sit down and start recording, something in the house makes loud noises that the camera just picks up. It's awful. Anyways, section 4, the summary in my own words. This is where the spoilers begin. You have been warned. We start off with Aspith Honoree of Honoree Hold on a journey with her maid, Gwenna, making their way to the city of Vastwarren, a city above the ancient city of Old Prell. The Prellians were these magical people of ancient times who created a bunch of magical artifacts that rich people use today. It's said that the gods got mad at them and sank their city. I don't think it actually explores why the gods got mad at them and sunk the city, but that's the lore. After something called the Mancer Wars, magic became outlawed. The only magic available to people legally are these artifacts that remain in this underground ruins of the city. Aspith is on her way to join the Royal Artifactual Guild, the place that ventures down into this underground city to find and sell the remaining artifacts from the ruins of Old Prell. Why is she doing this? Great question. Well, because her gambling addict father gambled all of their money away, along with all of their artifacts, leaving their whole land unprotected. Aspith was left with two options. Option 1, marry a man named Barnabas Chatworth of Chatworth Hold and let them handle the honorary debts while also becoming the new holder of honorary hold. An option she hates because Barnabas is what she calls a title chaser, meaning he's only marrying her for her status and her land and actually really disrespects her. She's also a spinster, so there's not too many options for who exactly she can marry or is willing to marry her. Option 2, the other holds find out that they are completely defenseless and forcibly take the hold, killing the whole honorary family along with the servants and the people that live on the lands of honorary hold. So Aspith chooses option 3, secretly find some new artifacts of her own because they can't afford to buy new ones and defend the hold for herself. Simple, right? Right? Cutting to Hawk for a second, the sexy Minotaur man. Every 5 years, something called the Conquest Moon happens. It's like a mating season for Tarians. Tarians are what the Minotaur people are called, but it only happens once every 5 years. It's the only time a Tarian can make babies. Well, there are other ways, but it's not relevant to this book. At the start of the book, there's about 30 days until the Conquest Moon arrives. Most Tarians leave the city for the Conquest Moon to have crazy sex in their home villages. Hawk doesn't want to do this. He's got bills to pay, money to make. A bitch is poor working for the Royal Artifactual Guild. But he doesn't want to just hire a prostitute either. That's like a lot of money. So what is he going to do? Well, we'll find out. On recruitment day, Aspith struts in and says, "Call me Sparrow." By the way, everyone in the guild goes by bird names instead of their real names to honor the founder or whatever. I didn't pay much attention to the reasoning. She struts in and gets laughed at. A woman in a man's field of work? Blasphemy. Nobody will recruit her. So she goes to the only female guild member, Magpie, and gets recruited by her. Note, Magpie is a special case in the whole women aren't allowed narrative. So things are great, right? Wrong. Magpie is a good-for-nothing drunk. And there's still the whole issue of nobody is willing to chaperone Aspith and Gwenna. Actually, Hawk has been covering for Magpie for a long time, and she'd have probably been kicked out of the guild by now if it wasn't for him. Aspith finds out about the whole Conquest Moon thing and strikes a deal with Hawk. He be her mentor and chaperone, and she will be his fuck buddy for the Conquest Moon, even though she's a virgin and has no clue how to have sex at the ripe age of 30. Specifically, she offers to marry him because he would much prefer to go through the Conquest Moon with a wife than anything else. Mind you, she does not mind marrying a random man. As a Holder's daughter, she anticipated that her marriage would be political, so she really is completely fine just marrying a random stranger. I believe Tarian's experience a particular pull towards their spouse, meaning he's not just going to go around humping anything that moves if he is married, just his wife. Hawk, realizing that it's much too late for Magpie to pick new fledglings, that's the name for the recruits. He says, fine, whatever, better than nothing. So they get married in a very human ceremony because Tarians have different wedding customs. I don't think needs to be discussed right now. Hawk is now taking the place as the instructor for Magpie's 5 recruits. Aspith, Gwenna, Lark, Magpie's niece, Meriden, another Holder's daughter who ran away from home to do this, and a Slitherskin named Kip. Slitherskins are these lizard species that can't exactly speak anything but their own language. I don't actually think they're physically capable of forming the words for the human language. They also carry their entire homes on their backs, kind of like a big heavy backpack, but like in the shape of a tortoise shell. If I can find art of it, I'll put it here and I'll make sure to credit the artist. But this book is so obscure and has such a small fandom, I don't think there is gonna be art of it. This entire group of fledglings is now basically the laughingstock of the guild. So anyway, there's a bunch of training that happens, obstacle courses, boot camps, lessons in how to identify artifacts, the only thing that Aspith is actually good at and excels at. In fact, they go through this whole competition thing with other groups of recruitments. They're placed in this room full of replica artifacts, mixed with a few actual, real artifacts. And the team that correctly identifies the most artifacts wins this whole weird competition thing. And of course, Aspith wins it for her team, but it looks hella suspicious because nobody knows she's an educated Holder's daughter. There's another scene where Magpie actually tries to get sober and has, as I mentioned a minute ago, a whole camping trip, the boot camp. This is where they run into her ex, Barnabas, who's on his way to the guild to purchase more artifacts. This is also where Aspith starts to panic a little bit, because why would he be stocking up on even more artifacts than his family already has if he wasn't planning to use them for something that probably wasn't good? She's able to confirm her suspicions because, as it turns out, Barnabas recognizes her and meets up with her, or asks to meet up with her, I should say. I actually went back to double check this, to fact check this, and what he tells her is that he wants her hold and that he's here to buy new artifacts. He never explicitly says that he wants the artifacts to take over her hold, but I think I just kind of came to that conclusion on my own at this point while I was reading it. There's a scene where Hawk makes her watch other Tarians fucking prostitutes while they just have a quick little humping session in an alleyway or something. I don't know. Magpie takes them down on a training run of the tunnels of Old Prell. She hands them a wooden stick in the shape of a Y and calls it a dowsing rod. And that it's supposed to be able to help them find artifacts, even though dowsing rods are used to, find water. Whatever. Of course, it's nothing but an old wives' tale up until Gwenna gets her hands on the stick. They get lost, and the minute that Gwenna starts using the dowsing rod, it starts moving on its own. Whoa, holy shit. If we don't get into that plot in this book, it would make a fantastic plot for the second book. They end up finding a dead guy with a ring artifact. Aspeth and Gwenna quickly grab the artifact and stow it away before Lark, Meriden, and Kip can see. Eventually, Aspeth comes clean to her team about her identity. Mainly because Meriden apparently knew the whole fucking time that Aspeth was Aspeth Honorary and just like fucking calls her out. At some point, also, Hawk overheard a conversation Aspeth had and confronts her about being a Holder's daughter too. She sucks his dick. It's a whole scene, which genuinely, that's no easy feat. That shit is fucking massive. There's also a scene here that I feel is important to mention. They're in the heat of things, and amidst that he goes, "Are you a spy?" Basically using sex to interrogate her. She's not too happy about that, like, understandable. And they get into this small spat, and then he asks her, what's gonna happen when you get everything you need? Are you gonna pretend that this never happened? Will you tell your nobleman father about marrying a Tarian? Will you give up on being a guild member? And like, while he did it in the worst way possible, it's still an important conversation to have. We see that she's not thought that far ahead. Things are so fucked up, she hasn't had the time to. And now it's got us, the audience, thinking about it too. What's gonna happen after everything? Like, we know they'll end up together, but how is that realistically going to happen? Moving forward, they trust Magpie with Aspeth's little problem, and the guildmaster agrees to help. She tells the girls to meet them down in the tunnels, but when the team gets there, something is off, and this is where the twist happens. It's revealed that Magpie is working with Barnabas, the shitty ex. Together they trap Aspeth and her team in the ruins of Old Prel, collapsing the tunnels they were in, basically trying to kill the group. Usually when these tunnels collapse, a team of guild members, often Tarians, are sent in on a retrieval mission to save them. There are a few issues with this. First, there are maybe 2 Tarians that didn't leave the city for the Conquest Moon. Second, this was an unauthorized expedition, so there's no paperwork saying that they're down in the tunnels in the first place. Nobody knows they even might need saving. Knowing this, they use Gwenna's abilities with the dowsing rod to find their way out, except she ends up leading them to another dead body. And another one. And a few more. See, they all had been under the impression that her dowsing was leading them to artifacts, but it seems that they had been woefully wrong. Oh, I should also mention that the Conquest Moon is starting that very same night. They end up locking themselves in this crypt because there are these... Oh, I should have mentioned this sooner. There are creatures roaming around the ruins called ratlings. They're these giant rats that eat people. Anyway, the ratlings are trying to eat them, and so they barricade themselves inside a crypt that they just so happen to stumble upon because Gwenna can find dead people, apparently. They all think they're gonna die, and a side romance that we didn't even know about reveals itself. Lark and Meriden confess their love for each other and kiss. Another one for the gays. They all really thought that they were going to die, but as it turns out, in a Conquest Moon-fueled frenzy, saying that 5 times fast, Hawk worked endlessly to find his wife. But again, in a Conquest Moon-fueled frenzy, ended up unable to resurface with his wife to have sex. Everyone just left the small crypt, and they did it next to several corpses. Note, this is also Aspeth's first time. All the other stuff they did before was anything but the actual deed. The woman lost her V card in a fucking crypt. People are arrested. Aspeth gets expelled. Her teammates get an automatic fail and become repeaters. Repeaters are guild fledglings that didn't pass the tests and work for the guild to repay their student debts. I'm planning to try again next year. And Hawk and Aspeth decide to stay married. Yay, happily ever after. Oh, and her father's debt? Yeah, he marries another woman who was given a dowry. He also has a son with her, and the son becomes the heir to the hold, leaving Aspeth with literally nothing. Good thing Aspeth gets offered a job in the guild's library as an archivist. Conveniently affiliated with the guild, but not working under the guild. So she still gets to change her name to that bird name from before, Sparrow. And they live happily ever after. The end. Yay! Section 5, feelings and opinions. The pacing was a bit weird, particularly the ending. We spent so much time slowly building up the climax, only for it to go by super fast in the end. There are a few moments at the very end where you realize that there are a few loose threads that the author needed to quickly tie up before ending the book. Almost like she dug herself into a hole and had genuinely no clue how to dig herself out of it. The romance was actually pretty bad. There's a lot of physical chemistry between Aspith and Hawke, but that's almost entirely because of the Conquest Moon. It's one of those pairings that you know would never have ended up with each other under any normal circumstances. There's no true romantic buildup. It just feels like we're told that there is one, and just trust me, bro. Given the track record of the other Ruby Dixon book I made a video about, you'd think she doesn't know how to write romantic tension. But the second book actually does have a lot of phenomenal romantic tension. That is By the Horns, the second installment of the Royal Artifactual Guild series. This is the first installment of the series. Like Ice Planet Barbarians, there's this heavy breeding kink undertone. I call it an undertone solely because it's not as in your face with this book as it was for Ice Planet Barbarians. It felt like so much of this plot was also really pointless. But after reading the second book, I realized that it's just the lore building first book curse. That thing with like the first installments of a series where the world building takes precedence over the plot. I don't know if Ruby Dixon plans on expanding the series past 2 books, but a lot of this book was just establishing this world for the readers with a smutty plot mixed in. I also felt that the protagonist was a bit... There's no good way to say this. Annoying. If I met her in real life, I would absolutely adore her. Make no mistake about that. There's just so many moments, however, where she's written like she's entitled, but the author is trying so desperately to make it not seem like that's the case. I don't think I felt this way all throughout the whole book, though. I realized that a big reason why I was having so much trouble with her characterization was just based on how it was being written and not the actual character. I actually wish that we had delved more into Aspith as a character, witnessed more genuine development, but I think that kind of ties back into the whole underdeveloped romantic chemistry between her and Hawke. There was such a focus on developing the lore and the world that the main character and the romance of the story got lost or even sacrificed a little bit. That being said, I did thoroughly enjoy seeing Aspith and Hawke as a couple. I just wish that it had happened more organically and didn't feel so forced. Section 6, the final section. My favorites. I had a few favorite characters. Kip the Slitherskin was an addition that I was initially weary about, but he very quickly grew on me. He entered a scene and I'd get excited about what he would do. He's like that weird younger sibling or cousin that does the craziest shit, but it's like, it's so funny and endearing, and you'd just kill for them. Gwenna was also a lovely character to read about. After finishing Bull Moon Rising, I found out that there was another book coming out about her and got so genuinely excited. I think I more so enjoyed the plot potential she had and was excited to explore that more. She's still a super fun character that I think balances out Aspith rather well. And I hate to admit it, but Hawke did kind of charm his way into my heart. What can I say? I have a soft spot for grumpy men who are sweet and soft for their lover. All my friends know that my ideal man is Geralt of Rivia. Don't tell my fiance that. Oh, who am I kidding? My fiance already knows. My favorite scene was probably the kissing scene. Tarians and humans don't exactly have the same facial anatomy, and Aspith really likes physical affection, like hugging and kissing. And Hawke is like, that's not exactly something Tarians do, mostly because I don't think we can. And there's a scene where he tries it anyway for her. It's at the very end. He presses his mouth to hers and she's like, did you just kiss me? And he's like, I must have done it wrong if you have to ask. It's really cute and endearing. I love it because it shows that he's actually willing to put in some real effort to try and make things work between them for more than just something transactional. I also really enjoyed scenes where she would tug on his nose ring. I don't know why. I just thought it was cute. If you like this video, I cannot guarantee that I will be doing more, but maybe I will. Subscribe if you want. You can follow me on Instagram as well at Natanya Miriam. If there's a book you want me to read, let me know. I might make a video on it. Who knows? Or not. I do what I want. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye. All right, timestamp. It is currently 9:30. I just watched it turn to 9:30 p.m. December 31st, 2025. New Year's Eve. Bye. So Aspit